let's do this, gang. We got class here just in a sec, so why not do this? Oh, sorry. Should maybe move that so it's not scratching or making any funny noises. But what we're going to address in this video is we're going to be going out over, the psychology on letting winners win and what that looks like in psychology terms of things. And then we're also going to work on, we're going to talk about greed and how to handle greed and your emotions during a trade. And then we're also going to talk about revenge trading. So 3 different things. We're going to be basically talking about letting your winners win, greed, and revenge trading. So first things first, let's, obviously start off with why any of these are important to becoming a profitable trader. Well, as we all know with trading, being a profitable trader doesn't come with having a profitable strategy, right? Anyone can have a profitable strategy. There's thousands of them out there. That's not the hard part of trading. The hard part of trading is right here, right? And training this to be absolutely so disciplined and mentally fortified that nothing messes with your mental or your system and what you have going on in here, right? We don't let our emotions take over. We don't act on our emotions. And that's like the hardest part of trading. Hence why, for me personally, I push psychology super, super hard for my students, because that is, for me personally, the most important part of trading is the psychology part of things. So when we're talking about, letting a winner win and what that looks like, so lots of times, and this is where the problem stems from, reason why someone might have a problem with letting winners win is maybe they've experienced a lot of losing trades in their trading experience. And so whenever they do get into the profits, right, where some traders you see take profits at, 50%, you see traders hit 100% trades all of this time, right? But that doesn't say they're taking, majority at that percentage or something like that. So in your brain, you might have this figment or this idea of how much money you're supposed to make or how much percentage you're supposed to hit, right? So the reason why we end up getting in a trade and, it hits 15 or 20% and we cut it off and we don't let our winner win for whatever reason. Now there's multiple things that could happen to cause this, right? Maybe we entered a trade and then we instantly went to drawdown and we sat in drawdown for maybe an hour, right? And we were just sitting there, edging our stop loss, and it was a high stress trade because we're so close to our stop loss. And then I'm letting my emotions get control, and I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, like I've been close to my stop loss. Honestly, if I could just get up, like I'm gonna get out of this. So then the moment it starts getting momentum in your direction, instead of you being like, okay, yeah, the trade's finally playing out, your brain goes, oh dude, like this could turn around, like it was looking really good to the downside, like we should just cut it here, like it's not looking good anymore, like it's taking forever. And so you end up cutting it early, right? Rather than letting your winner win and then it plays out the way you exactly thought it would, and then it ends up hitting TP, and then you watch it, and then it psychologically is bad to sit there and then watch that trade finish and play out the way you exactly thought it was. Okay, so that's really bad for your mental, is to sit there and just let your psychology go crazy while you're watching the trade go while you just got out of it. So it's just a whole mess for your psychology. So it's really, like, it sounds like something so little, but it plays out to be something so big. Same thing with all of these. So the biggest thing with how we let winners win, right? So once you get in the profits, let's say you were in drawdown for a bit, you can't panic sell and kind of get fearful, like, oh my gosh, now I'm in the profits, I'm going to sell. You got to stick to your plan, right? This is a game of a system. And the moment you start messing with that system, you're messing with your probability of profitability. Okay, so anytime you start messing with your system and start changing it or adding this or not following it to a certain T, you are messing with your probability rate, which I don't know about you guys, but for me personally, I don't want to mess with my probability rate. I want to keep that as high as I possibly can, right? Trading is already one of those things where losing is inevitable, so I want to keep my losses at a minimum. So anything that I can mitigate that, I will do, right? And so if that requires me to, follow my system to a T, regardless of what that looks like, I'm going to do that, right? And that's how you become successful in this game. That's how you stay profitable in this game, right? So the next thing would be, okay, so we how to let winners win, right? Fear of losing money, right? If you're also cutting a winning trade off super early just because it's maybe you were down before, like we were talking about, and it scared you, right? At that point, you should ask yourself if you're playing with an amount of money you care about. If you're playing with an amount of money that you care about, that like genuinely like you care about, like if you lost it all, you would be like, that kind of hurt, then you shouldn't be playing with that amount of money, right? You always want to be playing with an amount of money that you're totally okay with risking. You have to accept the risk, right? As Mark Douglas says, accept risk. You have to fully accept risk, okay? So that's just a huge thing, accepting risk. Okay, now the next thing would be revenge trading, right? You know, being greedy. How do we deal with revenge trading and greed? Okay, so being greedy comes with everyone. Every trader is greedy. Every person in the entire world is greedy. A lot of people are motivated by money. A lot of people idolize money, and a lot of people have money as their king. Okay, cash is not king. You know, money is not my king. That's not who I idolize, right? You know, I idolize the Lord and Savior, you know, who died on the cross and, you know, bled for my sins, you know, and transgressions of this world. That's what I believe is king. So, you know, for me to idolize money, there's no point. So for me, yes, every person's dealt with greed. I've dealt with greed. There was a time, you know, where I was working as an electrician, making $200 a day, which at the time, you know, for my age, not going to college and stuff, that's a fair amount of money. That's a decent amount of money. That's a nice 9 to 5 pay. Okay. Now, the moment I started making $100 a day trading, I was super, super excited, super hyped about it. Then I started picking up, making a little bit more, making like $200 a day. Okay. $200 consistent, $250 a day. Now I'm like, okay, I'm making more than my job. This is awesome, right? And it did not take long for me to have these consistent, you know, $250, 200, $300, you know, making more than my day-to-day job consistently. And that you would think me making more than my day job, I'd be super excited. Now I have dual income. I got 2 incomes and one's bigger than the other and both of them are great, right? But instead, my brain went, oh my gosh, dude, I only made $300 today. That's freaking, I should have made 400. You know, with trading, or I should have made 500, or if I would have stayed in that trade, I would have made so much more. Like, why didn't I stay in it? You know, and then I just battle with myself mentally. But if you zoom out for a second, like Dodge, dude, you make almost double what you're making in your day-to-day job in a couple minutes, clicking some buttons on from the comfort of your house. Like, dude, there's so many people that would kill to make that kind of money doing what you're doing. Like, why are you complaining, right? That's the little voice in your head. Like, why would you complain, right? But it's so hard in the moment, you know, to reflect and take a couple steps back and look and kind of be like, look at where I started, look at where I'm at, and, you know, look at where this leads to, right? The moment you get greedy and, you know, you start focusing on the money, that's whenever trading, you know, you could see your whole psychology, or you could see your whole trading just kind of go out the window. There's a big thing that I'm huge on, and it's focus on the process, not your progress. Meaning, focus on catching the A+ setups. Focus on hitting your TP and taking your profit. Focus on journaling your trades every single day. Focus on coming into the market and being prepared, having your setup, having your trading plan, being ready, right? Being ready to execute, being confident, okay? Practice all of these things, right? Because if you don't focus on those things, right, the process of trading, coming into the market and executing our strategy, the process of things, focusing on getting the A+ setups and making a killer trade, right? The moment we start focusing on the progress, like, how much is my account at? How much did I grow my account this week? How much money did I make today? Did I make my $500 trading goal? Oh, am I on track? You know, am I still trailing this year to hit my yearly end goal of how much money I want to make from trading? That's focusing on the progress. The moment you start focusing on the progress, right, that's also greed. You know, that's you focusing on the money. You're not focusing on the true fundamentals of trading, which is the psychology. Okay. And that is so hard for so many traders to do, is they just get stuck focusing on their progress and not the process. You need to learn as a trader to fall in love with the process. Like, make the process your best friend, right? If you're not in love with the process and you only focus on your progress, you're never going to find profitability in this. Never. I promise you that. That's just the truth of the matter. So then now we come into revenge trading, right? And how do we deal with revenge trading, and what does that look like? Now, the only thing that causes you to revenge trade is you got hurt, right? The only reason I'd want to say something mean to someone is maybe they said something mean to me, right? I'm not just going to go out of my way to, say something rude or abrupt to someone, right? Obviously, they have to wrong me for me to want to wrong them. Same thing with revenge trading. The only way you want to revenge trade or are even thinking about revenge trading is because you feel like the market wronged you, right? And everyone's dealt with this. I have, in my beginning stages of trading, I lost thousands and thousands of dollars to revenge trade, right? So it's any trader you talk to that has revenge traded, nobody has a good story. Nobody has a great story where they're like, yeah, dude, I freaking took a trade and I thought it was a great setup, and then I ended up letting it run and it lost and it turned into a bigger loser than I wanted. And freaking dude, that was a stupid loss. Like, that was so dumb. Like, I'm going to come back and I'm going to, and then now you're looking at it. Now you're watching that stock because you're ticked off, you're angry, you're like, oh, that stock got me, like, I need to get it back, right? I need to get my money back, I need to make that money back, that took too much, So now I'm watching it, because I'm watching it extra close, because I'm trying to force a setup in my head that doesn't exist, right? Because if I can force a setup to pop out of thin air in my head, I can make an entry and I can get my money back. That's what I'm thinking in the moment. Right? That's my brain in the very moment of things. It's going, okay, Dodge, we need to force a trade right here so that way it looks good so we can enter and get our money back. And then obviously you pull something out of thin air. Oh my gosh, this looks tough. Boom, back in. Maybe even a little heavier position because I'm really confident, right? I'm super confident this is going to play out, right? So 9 times out of 10, it doesn't. 9 times out of 10. And that one time you're lucky, that was luck. That was no skill. There was no skill there. If you're simply entering and pulling things out. Now, the only way you'll understand, like, hey, I'm revenge trading, and the only way you'll get better at not revenge trading is you first. It's kind of like an addict. The first stage of, like, beating your addiction is to be open about your addiction and say, I am an addict. I do have a problem, right? That's the first part of the problem, is to tell people you have a problem. Right? So with revenge trading, you need to basically go self-reflect. Yeah, Dodge, you do have a problem. I do revenge trade. I do kind of force setups. I do make things kind of, and then I need to self-reflect. The moment I can do that and kind of be like, yeah, Dodge, you do kind of force some setups, man. Like, sorry, but like, you do. Once I can be hard on myself and honest and really kind of be hard on myself, that's whenever you'll learn, okay, well, what's the next steps, right? How do I beat this urge to revenge trade? What does that look like, right? So next time you take a loss, maybe set a rule for yourself, right? If you want to combat and battle with revenge trading and you struggle with that, limit yourself to trades. Keep yourself to 2 trades a day. Keep it a 2 trade minimum, right? Try to keep your trades down so that way you don't allow yourself to revenge trade. Okay. On top of that, if you take a loss and you feel like it was a stupid loss or it wronged you, maybe just put that stock away. Flip to a different stock and start watching other things. And even if setups are A+ on it, just leave it. Like, completely throw it out the window and let your brain focus on something else. The moment you just even let that thing that already is kind of eating away at your psychology just sit there, you're giving it some time, right? You're going to glance at it, you're going to look at it, you're going to see how it's playing out, right? So anything to mitigate that, let's just take it away, right? So that way the brain isn't focusing on it. It's not distracted by it. It's not trying to tap into the areas of greed and revenge and I need to get my money back and I need to, chase this trade and I need to get this move, right? Instead, completely just get it off the screen and focus on, catching A+ setup on a different stock. And if you don't see anything, that's fine. Take your loss, right? Take your loss, journal how you felt, and be like, in your journal, make sure you're like, I kind of wanted to get back. I wanted to revenge trade like I usually do, but guess what? I didn't today. I stuck to my strategy. I took a dumb loss, but I ate my loss and I handled it well. So that's a plus, right? But you'll never get better if you don't journal those emotions, right? Because like we can go and we can look at trades that we've taken because we have a physical screen with charts and go look at that. You don't have a physical screen of charts showing your emotions and where you're at with them, right? Where you go and you get that chart of the data to figure out your psychology, it's all in your journal. But if I don't journal, I don't have that data. And if I don't have that data, I can't decipher the data to figure out the next move and what the data is telling me, right? If I don't journal, I don't know that I was battling with greed. If I don't journal, I don't know I was battling with revenge trading, right? If I don't journal, I don't know I wasn't letting my winners win. So journaling is huge. Like number one, it should be like one of the biggest things like you're focused on is journaling. And journaling just overall, not just journaling for trading, but journaling just overall is so good for you. It's great for everyone. There's not a single person that I've ever met that journals that's been like, yeah, dude, I freaking hate it, and it's honestly worse. Like it's ruined my life. Journaling has ruined my life. That is, you're never gonna find somebody who said that, who actually journals and writes down like their life and the steps they're taking to get further in life and all that good stuff, right? So, obviously, when it comes to trading, a lot of it's psychological. We know that. It's huge. It's why it's one of the biggest things I try to drill into my students' head is psychology is the biggest thing. If you can't get your psychological dialed in, you won't get your trading dialed in. And that's just the truth. So at the end of the day, make sure you're journaling, handling your emotions, and follow your system. That's all it is. Trading is just a matter of following your system that you have in place to a T. If you do that, you'll find profitability. You'll find success, right? At the end of the day, no risk, no story, right? If you don't take a risk, you'll never have a story to tell. That's our motto over here at Black Sheep. No risk, no story, guys. So obviously take a risk, but also in the same breath, when it comes to little things in psychology, make sure you're journaling. That's like the biggest thing. You need to assess yourself as a trader, and you need to take accountability for all the things that you do. It's on you. At the end of the day, it's on you. It's on me. I'm the one who clicks my buttons. I'm the one who pays for the stuff that's in there. I'm the one who put the money in there. I'm the one who's worked for all the money that's in there. It's on me. I can't put the blame on anyone else, and I'm not going to put the blame on, the stock was just being stupid. Yeah, I'm not going to it's on me, okay? Something in either my strategy failed or my psychology, or something in my strategy worked to a T, and I followed my strategy and I followed my psychology and I made money, right? That's how this game works. It's a game, it's a system. You follow the system, you're profitable. The moment you start messing with psychology and things like that, and you start going away from the system you have in place of things that we know work, that's when you mess with your probability of profitability, which is something that I don't want to tamper with at all. So if you want to be a profitable trader, these are some things that are super, super, in my opinion, super, super important to focus on. They're some of the biggest things in trading, and I don't think a lot of traders spend a lot of time focusing on them. So, hopefully this was able to help you if you did struggle with revenge trading, or you struggle with not letting your winners win, or you struggle with greed. Hopefully, this helps those people that maybe struggle with those problems. Now, obviously, this is, trading is one of those things where it makes and breaks a lot of people. Don't become a statistic, right? And where that statistic, in my opinion, of 95% of people who try this fail, I believe that statistic comes from the traders that don't handle their psychology, and they never get their psychology down. So this is, in my opinion, one of the most important things. So I think it's important that every trader takes accountability for everything. So at the end of the day, it's on you, and the only person who's going to help you and save you is you. So no risk, no story.